Bel Air, California, August 12th, 1967, Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock. Bruce Lee is standing barefoot in his own backyard, 26 years old, 5 feet 7, 135 pounds. He is absolutely certain he's about to prove that classical karate is not real fighting, but a hollow performance he has dismissed as robots in white pajamas. And in 8 seconds, the man walking up his driveway is going to make him regret every word. A Cadillac pulls up to the curb on Roscommare Road. The engine cuts off. The door opens. Chuck Norris steps out, 27 years old, 5 feet 10, 168 pounds. The current professional middleweight karate champion of America, 2 months into what will eventually become a 6-year undefeated streak. He's wearing tan slacks and a clean white polo. He thinks he is walking into a friendly afternoon training session, some drills, some shared ideas, maybe a meal afterward. He has been told by their mutual friend, Bob Wall, that Bruce wants to cross-train. He has no idea that Bruce has been up since 5 in the morning, drilling in the same backyard, preparing for something far more serious than a visit. Only 6 people saw what happened in the next 90 minutes. Linda Lee, watching from the kitchen window, Dan Inosanto on the patio steps, Ted Wong against the back fence, Jun Ri, the Korean karate master, was flown in from Washington for this exact afternoon. Bob Wall is holding a folded towel, and a quiet 7th grade student of Bruce's named Steve Golden, standing in the corner of the yard, told only to watch and to remember. 6 witnesses. That is all there will ever be. No cameras, no journalists, no footage. Nothing about this small concrete pad behind a modest house in the hills above Los Angeles tells you that what is about to happen here will quietly rewrite the history of martial arts in the 20th century. Bruce opens the door before Chuck can knock. He is wearing loose black training pants and a plain white t-shirt. His feet are bare. He smiles, but the smile is tight at the corners. He extends a glass of cold water with both hands, a small gesture of respect from one martial artist to another. Chuck takes it. He drinks. He nods his thanks. Then Bruce says one sentence. He has rehearsed it. He has thought about how he wants to begin this day, and he has chosen his words carefully. He says, "Today we find out if karate is fighting or if it is dancing. I will not hold back." You should not hold back. If I am wrong about your system, I want to know. Chuck stops drinking. He lowers the glass slowly. He looks at Bruce for a long moment. He has been in this world long enough to recognize when something has shifted. This is not a friendly drill. This is a test. Bruce is not asking him to share knowledge. Bruce is asking him to fight. Chuck does not flinch. He does not protest. He simply sets the glass down on the small table by the door and says, "All right, if you want to find out what happened next, make sure you are subscribed and comment below where you are watching from." The 6 witnesses fall silent as the 2 men step onto the concrete pad. The pad is about 15 feet across, surrounded by grass and a few potted plants. There is no ring, no ropes, no referee, just 2 men and a flat piece of ground. It is 2:15 in the afternoon when they begin. Bruce moves first. He does not bow. He does not take a formal stance. He simply steps forward into close range. His hands are floating up in the strange, soft, fluid guard of Wing Chun. His forearms are vertical. His elbows are tight to his body. His fingers are relaxed but ready. He is 3 feet from Chuck. This is the range Bruce has trained in for 14 years. This is his home. Chuck adjusts. He drops into a karate stance, his left foot forward, his hands raised in the classic guard, one fist near his chin, one extended. He throws a reverse punch, a long, powerful, straight right hand driven from his back hip, the kind of punch that has knocked out grown men in tournaments across America. Bruce does not block it the way a boxer would. He does not slip it. Instead, his left hand drops onto Chuck's wrist, sliding along the forearm, redirecting the punch sideways and downward, and at the same time his right hand has already shot forward, fingers extended, stopping a quarter-inch from Chuck's throat. Chuck freezes. He has never felt anything like that. The trap was so smooth he barely registered it as a defense. By the time his punch was halfway extended, it had already been answered, neutralized, and replied to with a strike that would have ended him. Bruce steps back. He grins. Again, he says. Chuck tries again. A front kick this time. Bruce catches it at the shin with a tight downward parry, steps inside, and his fingers tap Chuck's chest 3 times in less than half a second. Tap, tap, tap. 3 strikes Chuck could not have stopped if his life depended on it. The first 30 minutes belong entirely to Bruce. Chuck cannot read the Wing Chun trapping. Every punch he throws gets absorbed, redirected, and answered. The center line theory shuts down his reverse punch completely. Every time Chuck tries to drive forward, Bruce is already on the inside, already past the guard, already touching the throat, the temple, the floating ribs. Bruce is talking the whole time, light on his feet, smiling, explaining as he goes. You see, Bruce says, the punch is not the punch is the line. Control the line, you control the man. Chuck is sweating, not from exertion, from frustration. He is the professional middleweight karate champion of America. He has not been touched like this in 5 years. He has not felt this helpless since he was a private in the Air Force, learning the basics from his first instructor. Dan Inosanto, watching from the patio steps, sees what is happening. He has trained with Bruce for years. He knows this dance. He has been on the receiving end of it many times. He glances at Junri. The older Korean master is watching with an absolutely flat expression. He sees what is coming, but he does not interfere. At minute 31 of the session, something changes. Chuck steps back. He raises one hand. "Wait," he says. Bruce stops. He tilts his head, curious. He is enjoying himself. He has been right. He has spent 2 years saying that close range, the center line, the trapping hands of Wing Chun are superior to any classical kicking and punching system, and here is the proof, standing in front of him, breathing hard, unable to land a single technique. Chuck sits down on the edge of the patio. He unties his shoes. He pulls them off slowly, one at a time. He sets them aside. He stands up barefoot on the warm concrete. He flexes his toes. He rolls his shoulders. Then he says, "Bruce, can I ask you something?" Bruce nods. Chuck says, "Give me karate range, not Wing Chun range. 8 feet, not 3. Let me work from where I actually fight." Bruce considers this. He is still smiling. He sees no danger in it. He has trained against kickers before. He has dismissed long-range kicking as telegraphed, slow, useless. He believes the kick that travels a long distance is a kick you can see coming. He believes the kick that requires a wind-up is a kick you can step inside of. He has been teaching this to his students for years. He says, "Of course, show me your karate." He steps back. The distance between them grows. 3 feet becomes 5. 5 becomes 7. 7 becomes 8. Now there is a real space between them. Now they are at the range where Chuck has won every fight he has ever fought. Bruce drops into his Wing Chun guard again. He is relaxed. He is amused. He thinks this will be even easier than the first 30 minutes because now Chuck has voluntarily moved to a range Bruce believes is inferior. He should not have agreed. At minute 34, Chuck moves. He does not punch. He does not telegraph with his shoulders. He simply pivots on his left foot, drops his weight, and his right leg whips through the air in a spinning back kick, the heel of his foot driven by the rotation of his entire body, his hip, his shoulder, the full coiled torque of 168 pounds of trained athlete comes around in a tight arc. Bruce sees it. He sees it the way you see a car coming at you on a highway. There is no time to do anything about it. He starts to step inside. That is what his training tells him to do. Close the distance. Smother the kick. Get inside the arc where the heel cannot reach you. But Chuck has trained this kick 10,000 times. The arc is tighter than Bruce expects. The speed is faster than Bruce expects. The heel does not pass through empty air the way Bruce assumed it would. It catches Bruce on the right floating rib just below the armpit with the full rotational power of the spin. The sound is sharp, a flat percussive crack that everyone in the backyard hears clearly. Bruce's body folds sideways. His right arm clamps down instinctively over the rib. His left knee buckles. He goes down to one knee on the concrete pad. His other hand catches him before he falls all the way. He is breathing hard. His face is pale. For the first time in 5 years, Bruce Lee is on the ground. The backyard is silent. Linda Lee, who has just stepped out of the kitchen with the pitcher of iced tea, freezes in the doorway. The pitcher trembles in her hands. Dan Inosanto's mouth opens. Bob Wall's grip on the folded towel goes white-knuckled. Jun Rhee does not move, does not blink, does not show anything on his face, but his eyes are fixed on Bruce in a way that suggests he has just seen something he has waited a long time to see. Steve Golden, the 7th grade boy in the corner, does not understand fully what he is watching, but he knows enough to know it is something he must never speak about, and he will not. For the rest of his life, he will not. Chuck does not celebrate. He does not smile. He does not even step back. He simply lowers his leg, recovers his stance, and waits. Bruce stays on one knee for 3 full seconds. Then he looks up, and he smiles, a real smile, not the tight, amused smile from earlier, a wide, delighted, slightly stunned smile, the smile of a man who has just discovered something that overturns everything he thought he knew. He stands up. He rolls his shoulder. He winces, just slightly, then catches himself and masks it. He bounces on the balls of his feet. He nods at Chuck. Again, he says. Chuck nods back. They reset. This time Bruce is wary. This time he is moving differently. He is not standing flat. He is circling. He has adjusted his guard, brought his elbow down to protect the ribs. He is trying to read Chuck's hips, his shoulders, the small tells that come before a kick. He is doing what every great fighter does when they encounter something new. He is adapting in real time. For the next 17 minutes, Bruce does not get hit. He moves well. He is brilliant. He closes the distance whenever he can, gets back inside Wing Chun range, lands his traps and his finger strikes and his short, sharp punches. He is fighting smart. He is fighting like a man who knows he has been hurt and does not intend to let it happen again. But Chuck is patient. Chuck has spent 10 years learning to wait. He knows that the man who controls the range controls the fight. He keeps backing off. He keeps creating space. He throws kicks that miss on purpose to teach Bruce what the timing looks like. Then he throws ones that do not miss. At minute 51, the second spinning back kick lands, this time on the lower ribs on the same side. Bruce takes it standing. He grunts. He covers up. He does not go down, but the breath leaves him for a long moment, and Chuck steps back to let him recover. At minute 67, the third one comes. This time it is a hook kick instead of a spinning back kick. The instep of Chuck's foot whips around in a different arc, comes from a different angle, catches Bruce on the side of the head just above the ear. Bruce stumbles sideways. He catches himself on the back fence. Ted Wong reaches out instinctively, but Bruce waves him off. At minute 82, the fourth one. This time a round kick, hard, deep, into the thigh. Bruce's leg buckles, and he goes down to one knee for the second time. He stays there a little longer than the first time. He is shaking out his leg. He is breathing through his nose slowly, the way he has trained himself to breathe when the body wants to panic. Chuck steps back. He does not press the advantage. He waits. Linda Lee is no longer in the doorway. She is sitting at the kitchen table watching through the sliding glass door, her hands folded in her lap, her face composed. She has been married to Bruce long enough to know that he would not want her to interfere. She has been married to Bruce long enough to know that this is exactly what he asked for. He said he wanted to know if he was wrong. He is finding out. Bruce stands up. He limps for the first 2 steps, then evens out. He looks at Chuck. He does not smile this time. He simply looks at him. And there is something in his eyes that the 6 witnesses will all describe the same way, in the rare moments any of them ever speak about that day. Respect. Real, undisguised respect, he says. 1 more minute. Chuck nods. They go 1 more minute. Bruce closes the distance 1 more time, lands a flurry of trapping hand strikes, gets a clean tap to the throat. Chuck acknowledges it. They reset. Chuck throws 1 more kick, a side kick this time, lower into the hip. Bruce slides off it. They circle. They exchange a few more techniques. At minute 87 on the clock, Bruce stops. He raises both hands, palms open. He walks slowly to the patio steps. He sits down. He pats the concrete next to him. "Come," he says. Chuck walks over. He sits down next to Bruce. The 2 men sit shoulder to shoulder on the concrete steps of Bruce Lee's backyard, both breathing hard, both glistening with sweat, both quiet. For a long moment neither of them speaks. Then Bruce turns his head and looks at Chuck. His eyes are bright. His expression is open. There is no pride in his face. There is no defensiveness. There is only curiosity. The same curiosity that has driven him since he was a boy in Hong Kong learning his first Wing Chun forms from Yip Man. He says, "Chuck, your kicks. I have never been hit like that. I need to learn them. Will you teach me?" The silence that follows is the deepest silence of the afternoon. Chuck looks at him. He sees that Bruce is serious. He sees that this is not a polite request. This is a master asking another master to teach him something he does not know. This is one of the proudest, most certain men Chuck has ever met, admitting in front of 6 witnesses that he was wrong about something fundamental. Chuck says, "Yes, I will teach you." That is the moment. That is the pivot. That is the sentence around which the next 18 months of Bruce Lee's training revolves. 3 months later, Bruce begins a daily kicking regimen, stretching for an hour every morning, working the heavy bag with his legs, drilling the spinning back kick, the hook kick, the side kick, the round kick, the kicks that are not in Wing Chun, the kicks that are not in any traditional Chinese system he has studied. The kicks that come from Korean and American karate, refined and adapted by Chuck Norris over a decade of tournament fighting. Chuck comes to the Bel Air house once a week for the next year and a half, sometimes twice. They train in the same backyard, the same 6 feet of concrete where Bruce went down to one knee on August 12th, 1967, becomes the place where Bruce learns to kick like nobody in the Western world has ever seen a man kick. By 1972, when Bruce films Way of the Dragon in Rome, the high kicks are world famous. The flying kick, the spinning kick, the hook kick that takes Chuck Norris off his feet in the Colosseum scene. The audience watches that film and assumes Bruce was always able to do those things. They do not know that 5 years earlier, Bruce did not have those kicks. They do not know that the man Bruce fights in the most famous fight scene in martial arts cinema is the same man who taught him every kick he is throwing in that scene. Chuck never publicly takes credit. Not once, not in interviews, not in his autobiographies, not in private conversations with reporters. When asked, he always deflects. He says Bruce was a genius. He says Bruce learned from many teachers. He says he himself learned more from Bruce than Bruce ever learned from him. But to his closest students, in the small private moments after a long training session, Chuck will sometimes tell the truth. He will say, "I taught him the spinning back kick." He had never seen one done properly before that afternoon in Bel Air. He took it like a man. He went down and he got up and he asked me to teach him. That is who he was. Bruce never publicly denies learning from Chuck. He simply does not talk about it. He moves on. He absorbs the kicks the way he absorbs everything, makes them his own, polishes them, refines them, makes them faster and sharper than even Chuck can throw them. By the time he dies in 1973, the kicks have become his. The world remembers them as Bruce Lee kicks. Nobody remembers where they came from. Joe Louis, another of the great American karate fighters of that era, knows the whole story. He was not there that day, but he heard it from Chuck within a week. Before Joe Louis dies in 2012, he confirms the story to a small group of martial arts historians. He says, "It happened exactly the way Chuck told it. Bruce went down 4 times. He got up 4 times. He asked Chuck to teach him. Chuck did. That is the story." Dan Inosanto, who was on the patio steps that day, has spoken about the session only in fragments over the decades. He will say that Bruce trained kicks with Chuck. He will say it was a productive friendship. He will not give details. He will not say what he saw with his own eyes at minute 34 when Bruce went down, how Ted Wong took the story to his grave. He died in 2010 and never spoke a public word about the session. Bob Wall passed in 2022. He referenced it only obliquely in one late interview, calling it the most important afternoon in Bruce's training life. Jun Rhee, who flew in from Washington specifically to watch, returned home 2 days later and told his senior students only this. He said, "I saw 2 great men become greater that day. One learned humility. The other learned that the legend of his student would always be larger than his own legend. Both accepted it." Linda Lee Cadwell, in the years after Bruce's death, has hinted at the friendship between Bruce and Chuck in her writing, but she has never described that specific afternoon. She has kept her husband's private moments private. That is who she is. Steve Golden, the 7th grade boy in the corner of the yard, grew up to become a respected martial arts instructor in his own right. he never publicly said one word about what he saw on August 12, 1967. When asked late in his life by a friend why he never told the story, he said, "Because Bruce trusted me to be there, and Chuck trusted me not to tell, and those are the only two opinions that mattered. 6 witnesses, most of them gone now, no footage, no photographs, no newspaper article, no record outside of the memories of the people who stood in that backyard on a warm Saturday afternoon in the summer of 1967. What remains is the legacy, the kicks, the films, the image of Bruce Lee, fast and fluid and unstoppable, flying through the air with techniques that no Asian martial artist of his time had ever displayed on camera. An entire generation of fighters and filmmakers and ordinary people who picked up martial arts because of him. And underneath all of it, the quiet truth, the truth that Chuck Norris held inside himself for the rest of his life. The truth that Bruce Lee, the greatest martial artist of the 20th century, learned the kicks that made him famous from a quiet, polite, 27-year-old karate champion who walked into his backyard one afternoon and dropped him to one knee with a single spinning back kick at minute 34 of their first private session. The world remembers Bruce Lee's kicks. The world forgets who taught them. Chuck Norris spent the rest of his life letting the legend stand. He never asked for credit. He never corrected the record. He simply did what he did that afternoon in Bel Air. He showed up. He taught what he knew, and then he stepped back and let history remember the student instead of the teacher. That is who Chuck Norris was, and that is the story only 6 people ever saw.